This is why you stopped evolving, and 5 questions that you need to ask yourself so that you can get unstuck. So I remember when I was a high school counselor, it was about the end of the year of my first year. And as a result, all the students were bringing their yearbooks for a lot of the teachers and staff to sign. And I can remember this one student came to me with this book and he asked me to sign it. And then when I signed it, I looked at his picture. And as you know, with all seniors, they're able to leave a quote underneath their picture. And I remember reading it and being completely blown away by what he said. And what he said was that the greatest threat to your future success is your current success. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. And this is so true for a lot of people. Right now, there's a good chance that you're actually pretty successful. There's a good chance that you have a roof over your head, you're able to pay your bills, and maybe you're able to go on a vacation here and there. And as a result, you feel that you've reached a level of success that doesn't warrant any more actions for you to take. It doesn't warrant any more growth for you to endure. And as a result, that is one of the biggest things that's actually getting in your way from continuing to evolve. So what I'm gonna do in this podcast is I'm gonna ask you guys 5 questions to help you to actually see why it is that you're not evolving, in hopes to get you to start taking actions to becoming a better version of yourself. And before you get to the first point, I want you to subscribe to this channel by just clicking the link below. So main point number 1, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, but a question that I want to ask you is that, are you comfortable with your current level of success? As you know, comfort kills. There's so many personal development books, gurus, motivational speakers that are essentially telling you always that you need to be pushing yourself, stepping outside of your comfort zone. And it's crazy because aren't we supposed to be comfortable, right? Like, we work hard to have comfortable things like the roof over our head, a car that works, all these different things. But here's the thing though, what if that comfort is below what is meant for you in your life? Because if you believe that God has put you on this earth and that he has pre-ordered or predestined your steps for you to become great, I want you to look at your life right now and ask yourself, is this my definition of greatness? Do I feel deep in my heart that there's another level that I can take things, whether it be in my relationships, my career, my business, even certain passions and hobbies that you have? It could be something like playing basketball, playing the piano, fishing, jogging, so many different things. And right now I have to ask, is your current level of success actually getting in the way of your future success? Because if so, that may be the biggest threat that you're facing right now and you don't even know it. You know what's funny? The other day I was listening to a guy named Andy Elliott. So he's a salesman, if you will, and he's an entrepreneur. He has his community of people that he helps to learn how to sell and things like that. And he was talking about his story as he was, a car salesman and things like that, and how it was tough and how, basically he came from nothing. And then he goes on to explain how now his company actually makes $160 million a year. So the guy that was interviewing him, he asked him, what was it that changed? And he said something that was interesting. He said, when your level of pain starts to outpace your level of fear, then you will change. And that's what I have to ask you guys. Right now, is your fear outpacing your pain? Meaning your fear is so high and your pain is so low that it doesn't even make sense for you to take a chance like stepping outside of your comfort zone. Is that where you currently are? Because if it is, that is probably one of the worst places that you can be. And I'm not asking you to put yourself in a lot of pain or anything like that. But what I am going to ask you to do is start to challenge yourself just a little bit and see if you're able to stretch yourself just a little bit more. And trust me, you'll be surprised with what you come up with. So here's the second question that I want to ask you to help you to see why you stopped growing. And it's a simple one. And if you're not careful, it may get by you. But this one is all about asking the question of, is my circle growing? It's very easy to seem like you're doing well, you're doing fine, if the people that are around you are at your same level, or dare I even say below you. And if that's the case, you would not see a reason why to grow. And I'll even go further. You won't even believe that there's another level to your life that you can actually take. This is why it's so important to go to conferences, meet new people, network. Because when you do this, you're able to see that there's another level of the game that's being played that you're not currently at. It's kind of like you're playing college basketball, and then there's a whole nother level called the NBA. When you're able to see that that level exists, you start to create a little bit of a desire, a little bit of a fire in you, a little bit of a motivation, if you will, because you start to ask yourself, well, can I get to the next level? And this is where my personal value of curiosity comes. It comes from this belief or this idea of, what if I am better than what I think? What if there's another level to the success that I currently have? Would I be able to attain it? And that's the question I want to ask you. Do you think that you'll be able to attain the next level of your success if you were to actually go for it? But here's the thing. If your current group is not growing, as I said, or let's say they're all making the same amount of money as you, not pushing yourself, right? They're not seeking personal development. I'll even ask you this. I dare you to actually ask your group, how much money do they invest in themselves? Whether it be for their personal life, so it could be their health, right? It could be for their business or even their careers, right? I want you to ask them things like that and see what they say. See if some of your friends are currently paying for coaching, paying for books at least, or at least going to conferences. Because I'd be curious what the answer is. You know, there's a great quote by Jim Rohn, and he says that as your personal development starts to increase, so does your bank account. And that is so true when it comes to evolving. Here's the third question that I definitely need you to ask yourself. And it's a killer, guys. It's a killer. But this question is, are you setting goals that are actually below your skill set? Now, I have to admit, I fell into this place. And if it wasn't for my pain, I wouldn't have decided to actually start this business or even start this podcast. You know, what's funny is when I started off as a high school counselor, I remember coming to Miami and I was told that, hey, coach, you know, you're going to be making $47,000 a year and all this other stuff. And I remember thinking like, wow, like that's pretty good, right? That's a lot, you know, because I was coming from a place of where I was maybe making like $20 an hour, right? So I was probably making maybe like $20,000 a year or something like that. So when someone says, hey, I'm going to double your salary plus more, it sounds like a great idea. But as the months started to go and I started to realize living in South Florida is really expensive, I started to realize like, guys, like it's tough out here, especially as an educator. And that's when I realized that I was actually starting to feel a little stuck. And something even deeper was that I realized that the passion that I had for this job started to dwindle. And it started to dwindle because I was no longer challenging myself. You know, there's a great book called Flow, okay? And in this book, they talk about the art of flow. So when you feel that you're in the zone, when you feel like time is just passing you by, it's kind of like someone like Kobe Bryant, when he's played in a basketball game, he's able to put up 40 or 50, or his legendary game when he put up 81. It's all about being in a state of flow. And one of the biggest things that people miss when it comes to being in a state of flow is that when you start to challenge yourself just a little bit beyond your skill set. So if your skill set is here and the challenges and the goals you're setting for yourself is here, you actually start to find yourself getting into a groove. You start to find yourself working up some motivation. You start to find yourself stretching your mind just a little bit so that you can start to see that you're made of something more. You're made of something different than what you thought before. But the issue that a lot of people run into is these two things. It's when their skill set is here, right? And then the challenge is way above that skill set, okay? When that happens, that's where anxiety comes in. So an example of this would be me going into an NBA basketball game and trying to guard Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown or whoever the case may be. I'm going to get cooked, guys. And here's the second mistake people make. It's when they have a skill set, but they're challenging themselves way beneath that skill set. So this would be me playing a basketball game against a bunch of fifth graders. And just for context, guys, I'm 6'3". All right. And I'm about 220 pounds. So I'm a big guy. So if I were to go and play against them day after day after day, I would get bored and borderline depressed. And that's what happens to a lot of people. So what I'm telling you here is that you need to challenge yourself just a little bit in order to push you, motivate you. Because here's the thing, guys, not all anxiety is bad. You actually need a couple doses of anxiety inside you and actually get you to take action. So what I want you to start doing is set your goals just a little bit beyond your skill set. All right. Now, guys, because you made it to point number 4, okay, and this is going to come in the form of a question, to me, it says that you really enjoyed this podcast. So what I want you to do right now is actually hit the subscribe button, because this podcast is packed full of gems that I give in my therapy sessions. And as I always tell you guys, these therapy sessions are not free and they're not cheap. So you're getting game, you're getting gems absolutely free of charge. And I don't want you guys to miss another episode. So to do that, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. So question number 4 that you need to ask yourself in order to help you to get unstuck is, are you getting distracted by new opportunities? Now, I want you guys to think about it like this. I want you to imagine one day you have a great idea to go hiking. So as a result, you get your backpack together, you get your sleeping bag, you get your tent, you get everything that you need in order to go hiking. So you pull up to the park, you get out, you start going on the trail, and then you come across this mountain and you tell yourself, wow, this is going to be tough. This is a huge mountain, but you feel confident. You believe in yourself. You trained for this, right? You may have trained for this for a few months or maybe a year. So as a result, you saddle up your book bag and you start walking up this mountain. And then 3 hours into this mountain, you look over to your left and you see another mountain. You see another mountain that may actually look easier to climb. And you tell yourself, you know what? I don't think I want to climb this mountain anymore. It's too hard. It's taking too much of my time, right? And there's an easy mountain right over there that I can go up. And what you end up doing is you end up going down the mountain, so another 3 hours. And then you walk to that other mountain, which may take another hour. And then you start going up that mountain. And when you go up that mountain, you look to your left again, and you're like, whoa, that mountain over there, now that looks really easy. And you decide, you know what? Let me go back down this mountain and try that new mountain. And again, you start to waste all this time. This is what it's like when you start to switch opportunities. You start to do new things. This is what happens when someone isn't committed, isn't dedicated to one goal. Guys, I'll tell you right now, in this stage of my life, I am focused on building one thing and one thing only. And right now, that's my membership. This membership is something that I truly believe will help me to touch hundreds, thousands, even millions of lives. And I'm willing to dedicate the next decade of my life just to see if it works. Now, that's crazy, right? A whole decade? And the answer is yes. The reason why is because I know most people, they won't do it. And as a result, I'm actually going to see things that they would never see. It can be things like certain questions or problems that I now know how to solve. It can be certain changes and transformations that I'm making in other people's lives. And also it can be the changes and the transformations that are happening in me. And these are the things that are super, super valuable. Because by going through that tough mountain, that first mountain, you start to develop a belief that you can do tough things, okay? That you can do tough things. And that, my friend, is very, very valuable. So one of the biggest reasons why you're not evolving is because you're switching from one thing to the next. All right, and the fifth and final question that I need you guys to ask yourselves is this: have I reached my full potential? Now, this isn't a bad thing, and I want to make sure I say that early on. To be able to say that you've reached your full potential is to truly, truly mean that you've been successful. You know, what's funny is Kobe Bryant, God rest his soul, I think he is one of the few people that we look at and say that he reached his full potential. He left no questions on the court once he left the game. And as a result, we're able to sit back and admire the masterpiece of a career that he was able to put together, right? 5 NBA championships, right? Like, that's amazing. But for some people, they haven't made it past, let's say, their own self-doubt. They haven't made it past investing in themselves, right? So it's that fear of actually spending money, or it's even spending time. And as a result, those people will never reach their full potential. And something that I want to point out is that there's this thing called Maslow's hierarchy of need. And I'm going to go over this because as a therapist, we've learned this in school because we start to see what is it that people need as they're starting to make their lives better. And there's essentially 5 steps to Maslow's hierarchy of need. So the first step is your psychological needs. So this is make sure that you have your food, your water, you have a warm place to rest, right? That's what the first level is all about, your physiological needs. The second level is all about your safety needs. So having a house over your head, a roof over your head, right? Your safety, your security, and things like that. The next level is all about belonging and love. So everyone needs friends. Everyone is seeking relationships. I don't care who you are, even my introverted people. Us as human beings, we thrive in community. And this is something that we will always yearn to have. The next level, the fourth level, is all about your self-esteem. So this is the prestige and the feeling of accomplishment when you look at yourself. And then the fifth and final level, the level where Kobe has gotten to, right? And Kobe was someone that didn't need to evolve anymore. He didn't. And the reason why is because he reached this last level, which is called self-actualization, which is basically achieving one's full potential, including creative activities, whether it be a business, a job, a hobby, a sport, a musical craft. It could be anything. By reaching your top level, you have officially made it to the place where you no longer need to actually evolve. You're actually in a very rare place where I want you to actually sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labor. Now, everybody can do that in their journey, but for you, my friend, you can spend a lot more time in this space because you've done all the hard work. So real quick, I'm gonna go back over the 5 questions that you need to ask yourself in order to make sure that you're not still staying stuck, in order to help you to evolve. So the first question that I asked you was, are you comfortable with your current success? All right. Again, your greatest threat to your future success is your current success. The second question that I ask you is your circle growing? So we all know that you are the people that you hang out with. So if you look at the people that you're around, and if they're still in the same place 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the line, then there's a chance that maybe you should find a new group of friends, right? Not saying that you can't still hang out with them, but there's a new group of friends, a new group of colleagues that needs you to surround yourself around. The third question that I need you to ask yourself is, are you setting goals that are actually below your skill set? And this is all about being able to get into the state of flow, because there's 3 places you can find yourself. You can find yourself overwhelmed with anxiety. You can find yourself underwhelmed with boredom and depression. And then there's this sweet spot where you can find yourself in a state of flow, feeling motivated, feeling encouraged, because you challenge yourself just a little bit. And then the fourth question is, are you getting distracted by new opportunities? So don't go from mountain to mountain to mountain, trying to climb it and then quitting. Pick one mountain and stick with it, because the person you will become will greatly, greatly appreciate it. And then the last question, the best question I feel that I had all day was, have I reached my full potential? People that can honestly say that they've reached their full potential are people that I truly believe that are successful, and I would even say fulfilled. So my name is Coach Wells. I'm a licensed therapist. Thank you for checking out this podcast, and make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. All right, I'll see you later.